The story begins with a couple fighting. The girl insists she shouldn't be underestimated because she knows how to cook, while the boy, noticing the knife trembling in her hand, warns that she could get hurt with all this. He silently wonders if she also chops onions just to cry for dramatic effect. As he steps closer and grasps the hand holding the knife, both freeze in place, their faces flooding with deep blushes. She quickly jerks her hand away and questions what he's suddenly doing. He apologizes, and she returns to her work with the knife. The boy stands there, wondering why he's even staying with a villainess. He briefly considers just ordering takeout next time to avoid the emotional roller coaster. Because he's got a fiancée, but the kind who's the most violent girl in the entire school. To understand all this, we have to rewind to when that same boy, Hiroyuki, is at home, stunned after learning from his father that he actually has a fiancée. His father explains that when he was born, the company had suffered heavy losses, and another major company had offered financial support. To settle that debt, the president of that company proposed that Hiroyuki's father marry his son to his daughter. Hiroyuki briefly wishes life had a skip intro button for awkward family announcements. The lad sees no benefit in marrying the president's daughter, but his father, while recounting their family background, reminds him that he might already know this girl. Hearing that, Hiroyuki can't believe such a thing could be true. He silently debates whether he should start practicing polite choking sounds for future dinner conversations. The next day, on his way to school, he's thinking about the start of the new semester and how he never imagined beginning it like this, already having a fiancée who doesn't even feel like one. Just then, when he looks up, he sees her standing right in front of him, the same girl his father mentioned the night before. He freezes in place. He wonders if anyone else has survived awkward morning greetings without spilling coffee on themselves. Just then, Haruyuki notices a boy approaching his fiancée, Kwaryu, attempting to talk to her. But she flips the conversation, questioning who he even is and what made him think he could start chatting with her. The boy introduces himself, claiming he had confessed to Kiru before. She glares at him and asks if he really thought with a face like that he could confess to her. She presses him, asking what's so special about him, and adds that even if he had skill, money, or anything impressive, it would still be better if he simply disappeared from her sight. Startled, the boy panics and runs off. He likely considers uninstalling social media just to heal his ego. Hiroyuki walks up to Kiryu, and the moment she sees him, her expression softens. She looks surprised, steps closer, and asks if he's Hiroyuki. When he nods, she tells him she needs some of his time, and if he doesn't have it, he'd better make some. He wonders if making time comes with a coffee break or a snack allowance. As they walk away together, two girls spot Kiryu and are shocked to see her with Hiroyuki. Meanwhile, the pair continues walking, heading somewhere together. Hiroyuki notices that walking with a villainess feels like accidentally stepping onto a roller coaster without warning. On the way, Hiroyuki thinks Kiryu is a perfect lady, a top student, athletic, the only daughter of a powerful company owner, and breathtakingly beautiful. Just then, Kiryu stops and says she'll explain why she called him there. She tells him that she's his fiancée and that it's nice to finally meet him. Hiroyuki stands silently, and she asks if he doesn't even know how to give a simple response. In his mind, Hiroyuki decides the real problem is her tough attitude. That's why everyone calls her a villainess. He wonders if villainess also comes with a training manual for casual conversations. Still standing there, he apologizes, explaining he's just as surprised since he only found out about this himself. Kiryu, maintaining her attitude, says she's honestly not interested in Hiroyuki. What she's interested in is his family name because his lineage is highly noble. She thinks this makes them a perfect match to cover her own family's weaknesses. Hiroyuki can't fully grasp it, since he doesn't know much about family lineages. He briefly imagines if family trees came with QR codes for quick explanations. He wonders if he should even accept all this or not. Then, Hiroyuki suggests they discuss these matters some other time. Kiryu mentions her father has prepared a new house for both of them, and after class she wants him to come with her. He is shocked and panics, asking if he has the option to refuse. She says no. He thinks that suddenly, after class sounds suspiciously like mandatory villainous boot camp. Just then his friend pops in and calls out to him. Startled, Hiroyuki mutters, "Damn it." His friend reminds him class is about to start, so Hiroyuki quickly tells her they'll talk later and rushes off. Behind him, Kiryu calls out, demanding to know what he meant by "damn it," and warns that he'll pay for it. His friend, confused, asks what just happened with the infamous villainess. Hiroyuki says nothing, silently hoping he didn't just star in a live-action episode of How to Date Chaos. Now the question is, what exactly is going on in Kiryu's mind? During the joint PE class, Hiroyuki approaches the girls, Tomomi and Ryoko, and asks if they told his friend Fujita that he's with Kiryu. Nervously, they explain that they only saw him talking to her alone and thought he might have upset her. Hiroyuki wonders why everyone assumes he's made Kiryu angry. The two girls say his behavior seems unusual, and maybe there's something he isn't telling them. Trying to reassure them, he says there's nothing to worry about. But as he's about to elaborate, he suddenly realizes Kiryu might actually get mad if he talks about it. So he simply replies that he's fine and suggests they focus on warming up. The girls still look doubtful. Fujita leans in and whispers that he has a crush on a girl, one who's also being chased by Sajima from Class 4. Today, the two of them are competing to see who confesses first. He asks Hiroyuki to help him in this match, promising movie tickets if he wins. Fujita even manages to get Tomomi on board with the plan. Hiroyuki secretly hopes the prize comes with popcorn and not emotional baggage. Then, taking Hiroyuki along, both teams line up facing each other. The opposing team accuses them of cheating, claiming he shouldn't have brought Tomomi onto their side. The girl laughs and asks if they're just scared of losing to a girl. She sets a condition. If their team wins, they'll get to use the gym for the whole next week. The other team is stunned, while Hiroyuki, holding the basketball, notices that Kiryu has also shown up. He quietly wishes the gym had a break glass in case of Villainous emergency exit. The match begins and everyone performs well, showing off their skills and earning solid points for their teams. Tomomi passes the ball to Hiroyuki, but he quickly redirects it to Fujita instead, which makes Tomomi angry since the pass was meant for him. The score remains almost tied. Hiroyuki notices the opposing team is playing strongly, but Tomomi's side is holding their ground too. He thinks maybe coordinating passes should come with an instruction manual. Then, hearing voices from behind, he turns to see Kiryu holding the basketball that had just gone out of bounds. She struggles to protect the ball from the other team, while the boys nearby whisper among themselves, commenting on how beautiful and skilled she is, but still, she's a villainess. Hiroyuki mentally notes that Villainous with a basketball sounds like a weird superhero origin story. The ball then lands in his hands. His teammates shout for him to pass or risk losing, but he hesitates, wondering what people will say if they fail. Calm as ever, he holds the ball under pressure, then steps into position, aims, and shoots. Everyone stares as the ball sinks through the hoop. Point scored. Hiroyuki briefly wonders if he should give a TED talk on basketball and peer pressure. Wiping sweat from his face, he's quickly swarmed by cheering teammates. Two girls rush up and cling to him in excitement. He figures he might need a manual on handling sudden hugs. Kiryu, watching from the sidelines, says, "Good job," then turns and walks away. Hiroyuki silently watches her go. At that moment, he thinks about how he has a fiancé, childhood friends, and his best friend by his side. Yet even with all that, it still feels like his new life hasn't really begun. He sighs. Turns out life with a villainess is tougher than gym class. The match finally comes to an end, and Hiroyuki's team can hardly believe they've won. Fujita runs up to him, hugs him tightly, and thanks him, saying it was all possible because of him. Then he asks if he has ever played basketball before. He wonders if they also need a medal for surviving the hugging part. Tomomi dashes over and clings to him, saying she knew he'd make that shot. She keeps trying to get even closer while he awkwardly tries to hold her off. The rest stand there staring in disbelief at the scene. Kiryu lingers a little farther away, wiping her sweat and quietly watching him. He quietly wishes personal space came with a timer. Meanwhile, he walks back cheerfully with the two girls, celebrating their victory while Kiryu keeps a sharp, unreadable gaze on them. After class ends, everyone praises each other for their efforts. From behind, Fujita calls him over and hands him the movie tickets he had promised, saying there's no need to thank him. As he takes the tickets, Fujita advises him that he should take Tomomi along. Surprised, he asks why, and his friend explains that he shouldn't upset her. After that, Fujita leaves, and he stands there, confused. He briefly imagines a world where people came with an instruction manual. Suddenly, he hears a voice behind him, and notices Kiryu walking after him, staring straight at him. When he turns, she has already reached the classroom door. He thinks to himself that he doesn't have time for all this, since he's going to see his new house after school. Eventually, the school day ends, and students pour out at the sound of the bell. Kiryu stands at the gate, telling him he's too slow and that she doesn't like waiting for anyone. The other students are stunned, wondering why she, a villainess, is waiting there for him. After that, the two leave school and head toward their new house. On the quiet streets, all they hear are passing cars. To break the silence, she calls out to him, saying they should talk about something, and he, thinking this works for him too, begins the conversation. He mentions they're going toward the station, and she points out that their new house is on that side, in Nitsu. He is surprised, realizing Nitsu a place where high-class people live. He wonders if walking there counts as cardio or social climbing. As they continue talking, he realizes he never imagined having a fiancé or living with her in a new house. When she mentions it, he jokes that he expected some luxury car to pick them up outside the school. Hearing this, she panics and insists she wouldn't do something like that. She's worried about what people will say, knowing everyone at school talks behind her back. She doesn't want to make things worse. He thinks maybe avoiding gossip is the new extreme sport. He suggests that if they're heading to the station park, they should probably take the train. He also mentions that she should travel by train instead of a car, especially when coming to school. She falls into thought. Our guy smiles when she suddenly leans forward and apologizes. Surprised, he asks why, and she explains that because of her father, she hadn't considered his situation. He wonders if apologies should come with a side of chocolate for easier digestion. After that, they reach the station and start their train journey. She has been wrestling with her thoughts since early morning, which explains why she spoke to him the way she did. She had said she wasn't interested in him, but seeing him today makes her feel he's not a bad person. He thinks mental gymnastics before 9 a.m. should come with a warning label. She admits that she has always pushed her family's status everywhere, without considering other people's situations or feelings. When he asks more, she names Tomomi and Ryoko. He explains that they're his childhood friends, and she warns him that he'll need to be a little careful with both of them. Managing friendships and villainesses should count as a part-time job. He looks at her, and she meets his gaze. Then she says that after all, he's not a bad person. He asks if she's upset about something, and she suddenly asks if he was ever popular. He replies that not at all. She then questions why he thinks Tomomi and Ryoko are so fixated on him, despite not having boyfriends. He is surprised and falls into thought. He considers how popular both girls are and admits he never thought of it that way before, since they've been together since childhood. She hints at the same idea, saying anyone could say that the girls are after him. Hearing her, he realizes he can't really argue with the villainess. He thinks maybe arguing with her is like debating gravity, pointless but exhausting. Suddenly, she stands up, steps off the train, and looks back at him, insisting that she absolutely doesn't like that nickname. He sits there, surprised and silent. He wonders if nicknames should come with a signed contract now. He follows behind her, apologizing and asking her not to leave him. She walks ahead, smiling, then turns and says she was joking. He tells her not to scare him like that. She admits she really doesn't like that nickname, but acknowledges she can be a little blunt herself. She explains that her words are like a shield, that she rarely says exactly what she means. When he asks what she's getting at, she suddenly turns, points at him, and shouts. Then, without warning, she asks if he has enough confidence to love her as a partner. He stays silent, even though she's clearly waiting for an answer. After a moment, he admits he doesn't think so. She smiles as she feels the same, for now, but she believes that if they spend time together, feelings might grow. Reaching out her hand, she suggests they should start with that in mind. He quietly wonders if handshakes should come with insurance. They shake hands, exchanging small smiles. Then, in a fresh introduction, she remarks she's glad to meet her fiancé, and he replies in kind. As they stand there, he feels a quiet warmth from her hand. It's a small step forward, but maybe the beginning of something meaningful. Maybe he thinks she can be more than just a villainess. And maybe milestones like this should come with a coffee break for emotional support. They finally arrive at their new apartment complex, but he still can't get over how ultra-luxurious it is. Standing in the elevator, he's amazed and asks her what her father does. She raises an eyebrow, asking why he's posing such a strange question. He tries to explain that her father gave money to his father and even prepared such a lavish apartment. She interjects, saying her father is just the president of an IT company, nothing more. He wonders if just the president is how billionaires keep their humility. She asks what's so surprising about it, since he himself comes from a noble family, but he realizes he didn't even know about it until a few days ago when his father told him. Now he understands why his cousin always acted like a noble lady. Hearing the name, she is surprised and says she often sees her at parties. He thinks maybe noble cousin sighting should come with RSVP forms. She stares at him and he asks what she's looking at. She admits she can't believe Akemi is really his cousin. He explains that she's his second cousin, but she tells him that noble families often share many similarities, though maybe he hadn't noticed it in himself. When they reach their apartment floor and open their room, his eyes widen in shock at the stunning furniture inside, and she is equally amazed. Standing by the window, they take in the view, and he feels like the place is a dream. They glance at each other, both blushing, when suddenly a noise comes from his stomach. He quickly excuses himself. He thinks maybe stomach growls should come with a "do not disturb" sign. He goes to the fridge expecting it to be empty, but when he opens it, it's full, leaving him quite surprised. He also notices that her father stocked it with very high-quality ingredients. Meanwhile, she opens her mouth to speak but can't find the right words. He simply tells her to get ready to help with dinner. He wonders if cooking in a fully stocked kitchen is considered extreme multitasking. She quietly changes out of her uniform, puts on an apron, and heads into the kitchen. Both of them stand there in aprons, and he tells her to chop the vegetables while he starts preparing the rice. As he works, his eyes catch her, who looks both troubled and surprised. He thinks maybe aprons should come with a handle with care sticker. Just as he begins to speak, she immediately cuts him off, saying not to teach her. She knows how to cook herself. He thinks to himself that he hadn't even said anything, and she picks up a knife to start chopping the ingredients. Watching her style, he thinks she looks like a serial killer in the kitchen. He wonders if knife skills should come with a crash course in personal safety. As she starts swinging the knife, he suddenly stops her, saying it's too dangerous, and grabs her hand. She panics, surprised at what just happened. They end up leaning toward each other as he catches her to prevent her from falling. Their eyes meet and both start blushing. Their hearts race and not a word escapes their mouths. He warns her that acting so suddenly could be dangerous, and she, covering her mouth, murmurs a small "sorry." Then they both look away. He laughs and says that all this could have been dangerous for her, and if she didn't know how to cook, she should have said so. He thinks honesty might be the safest kitchen utensil. She falls silent, blushing, and admits it happened because he started preparing everything so quickly that she didn't get a chance to speak. He thinks to himself that it's all his fault. He briefly considers adding "Speedy Chef" to his resume with a disclaimer. He gets busy with cooking and tells her that it's no big deal if she doesn't know how to cook. He explains that his parents were often away, so he learned to cook well, sharing how he picked up the skills while managing the kitchen at the same time. He then makes a perfect dish and places it in front of her, announcing it's ready. She asks what it is, and he explains that it's his special Italian-style Mapo tofu. She's amazed, thanks him for the meal, and takes a bite. Her eyes widen in surprise at the taste. He thinks maybe mastering a dish is easier than mastering small talk with the Villainess. She finds it incredibly delicious, her face flushing heavily as she praises it, saying it's the kind of dish you wouldn't even find in a restaurant. She tells him that he's very talented, and that she should learn from him too. While eating, she asks if this is the flavor her sister and other childhood friends liked. Then, using his full name, she reminds him that though he's her fiancé, she doesn't mind other women. He wonders if fiancé rules should come with a cheat sheet. He asks if Tomomi and Ryoko are still on her mind. She says that's not the case and clarifies that it wasn't her father's wish. It was her own desire to marry into his family. Surprised, he tells her that since his father owes hers, it would be completely wrong for him to cheat on her. She blushes, and he adds that from now on, she'll be the one in charge of cooking. She is suddenly taken aback. He briefly imagines assigned chef as the latest life upgrade. He tells her that many people have talked about her and spread rumors, yet she's learned everything on her own. He knows she is hardworking and will master cooking, so he wants her to start practicing right away. She smiles and agrees, but warns that she'll probably make a lot of mess in the beginning. She wants him to supervise her properly. His heart races, but he stays quiet and happily tells her that, yes, he will do just that. They happily eat their meal, and later he leaves in the evening, realizing he's gotten quite late. In his heart, he feels that she must be pretty motivated about herself by now. He thinks motivation should come with a built-in timer for dinner prep. As he walks, he suddenly hears someone calling his name from behind and stops. He turns and sees his childhood friends, standing there. They've been looking for him. Hiroyuki stands there, completely surprised, unable to understand where they suddenly appeared from, while they stare right at him. He wonders if teleportation is now part of their morning routine. He asks them what they're doing here, but they flip the question, asking what he's doing in such a luxurious residential area. They also ask where Kiryu-san is, since she's supposed to be with him. He asks if they saw him. They reply that his expressions are easy to read, so there's no need to hide anything. They also mention that he'd been acting a bit strange since the morning, which made them worried. Hiroyuki tells them that whatever happened, it wasn't right for them to follow him so closely, since he wasn't doing anything wrong. He considers adding "too readable" to his list of personal flaws. Tomomi counters, he's the one being too much. Both girls fix their gaze on him, and he doesn't know how to respond. They tell him they want to know what trouble he's in, so keeping secrets from them isn't right. Seeing their concern, he thinks of her and silently apologizes, deciding to at least tell them the truth. He then explains everything. He briefly hopes that honesty comes with a mute button for dramatic reactions. When Ryoko hears the whole story, she's extremely surprised about his fiancé, while he insists there's nothing to be shocked about. He isn't lying, they're engaged. Neither of the girls can make sense of it. Ryoko admits that she didn't understand any of it at first either. When the girls ask why, she explains that his father had to repay a debt to her father, so their families arranged the marriage. Besides, she wanted his family name, making it a mutual arrangement. Seeing Tomomi standing silently, she asks him what the reason is. He thinks maybe family arrangements should include an FAQ section. Angry, Tomomi declares that she's going to punch his father in the face. He immediately grabs her and tells Ryoko to stop her. Ryoko explains that Tomomi shouldn't punch his father, but instead aim for his stomach. He goes crazy, wondering what on earth they're talking about. He quietly considers investing in boxing gloves just in case. The girls insist they don't want to hear anything from him, because accepting all this is impossible for them. He tries to explain that he was just as surprised when he first heard it. He tells them that if things had gone differently, his father's company would have collapsed, and everyone who supported them would have suffered. The girls agree after hearing this, though a trace of doubt still lingers in their minds. He adds that he didn't want to ruin anyone's life, so he agreed to the arrangement. The two girls fall silent with no response. He continues, assuring them she isn't a bad girl. Hearing this, they suddenly go quiet and watch him closely as he seems to be getting very close to her. He tries to clarify that it's not what they think, but Tomomi turns away and walks off. He thinks walking away dramatically should come with a soundtrack. Then she looks back at him and says she believes him about her, but warns him not to keep any secrets from them from now on. Whatever happens, he should be honest. He agrees, admitting it's his own fault, and they move forward with that understanding. As they start walking again, Tomomi complains that speaking so loudly has made her hungry, and now she wants him to make her a treat. Both girls demand that he prepare his special Italian-style mapo tofu for them. He thinks maybe his cooking skills have turned into an unintentional fast food service. He is stunned and tells them he can't make it again since he just made it for her. Their smiles fade and they fall silent. He reflects on how the new dynamic between them has shifted. He wonders if menu rotation should be part of friendship rules. He can't understand what kind of atmosphere has suddenly formed, feeling like he's stepped on some delicate line. The girls insist it's unbelievable. There were so many dishes he could have made, yet he chose to make her the Italian-style mapo tofu. They get angry, their eyes glistening, because this was a test from their childhood. He is stunned, watching as they storm off, leaving him standing there wondering what mistake he could have possibly made. The next day at school, he barely slept the night before. His mind is tangled with thoughts of the family debt, his fiancée, and his childhood friends. Suddenly, so many things are happening in his life all at once. He wonders if adulting is just a continuous pop quiz. As he walks, he notices that they aren't around. They must have left without him. His eyes catch her standing to the side, holding her bag, lost in thought. He remembers that she is now taking the train, so he waves at her. She notices him, and he walks over, saying good morning. He thinks maybe waving should come with a GPS tracker for missed connections. As he moves forward, Tomomi suddenly runs up, and he's stunned to see her. Then Ryoko appears nearby too, and he's shocked to see both of them at once. Tomomi gestures toward Kiru, calling her name, and she watches, curious about what she wants. Meanwhile, Tomomi greets him cheerfully with a good morning. She then walks up to him and asks if he wants to have lunch together today. She is taken aback by the question, and he is equally confused, unsure of what's happening. He quietly hopes lunch invitations don't come with pop quizzes attached. During class, all the students are seated taking the lesson, while Hiroyuki watches them in surprise. Sitting there, he keeps wondering why they invited Kiru to lunch, and Akane's words echo in his mind. According to her, this might be related to some memory. He thinks he should have talked to Akane earlier, and his mind replays last night's call. Akane's angry voice telling Oni-chan that their frustration is justified. He can't understand why everyone is upset, but Akane snaps at him, asking if he really doesn't get what's going on. She tells him that the Italian-style mapo tofu is the taste of their childhood. Does he still not understand what that means? He replies that they said the same thing and asks if she can explain it. Akane mentions that when they were kids, their parents were always busy. That's why they always had lunch together. He used to cook for them. That dish became an unforgettable, nostalgic menu item. The Italian-style mapo tofu. Hearing this, his eyes widen in shock. He briefly wonders if food nostalgia should come with a warning label for emotional damage. He asks if they really thought that way about his cooking, and Akane explains that they never shared that dish with anyone outside their group. Even their closest friends tried, but they never let anyone else taste it. He thinks maybe secret recipes should require top secret clearance. He smiles, realizing that back in childhood, they all saw each other as family. Status never mattered, and they simply spent time together without overthinking. He never knew his cooking would become such an important memory for them. He thinks that if his cooking means so much to everyone, then she deserves to experience it too, especially with everything she carries alone. As he's lost in thought, Akane snaps, asking if he's even listening. He wonders if daydreaming should come with a pay attention alarm. On the call, Akane insists the dish is too personal to share with just anyone. He tells her she's overreacting, but she fires back, accusing him of being mad just because she called the girl a random stranger. He cuts her off, saying, "She's my fiancée." Akane screams in shock, and he briefly thinks fiancé announcements should come with a siren. Later, he sits with his diary open, trying to untangle the chaos that's taken over his life. He starts sketching a mind map, planning what to say, who to talk to, and when. Alongside it, he draws the family map she once mentioned, hoping to make sense of it all. He wonders if mind maps should come with coffee breaks, for sanity's sake. After that, he listens carefully to Akane's words, replaying them in his head. According to her, Akame was supposed to be the one destined to marry him. Or maybe someone else entirely. The thought alone keeps his mind spinning. The whole situation gnaws at him, confusing and exhausting him, because there are too many things he still can't make sense of, no matter how hard he tries. He briefly wishes life had an undo button for confusing mornings. Finally, his eyes fall on his childhood friends. He exhales deeply, a mix of disbelief and fatigue flickering across his face, and wonders if his father actually enjoyed creating this kind of tangled, impossible mess. The bell rings, and his eyes snap open as he realizes he might have dozed off. Fujita walks over and asks what happened, while he mutters that a lot has gone wrong, then quickly adds that nothing's actually wrong. He wonders if napping in class should come with a hall pass for sanity. Fujita raises an eyebrow and mentions he was groaning in class. He then asks if he still hasn't given the tickets to Tomomi, since he's been holding onto them all this time. The mention of her name suddenly jolts his memory. When he looks around, the classroom is empty and panic hits him. He dashes out, ignoring Fujita's question, and heads straight for the rooftop to see where everyone's having lunch. Face flushed, he races through the halls and down the stairs, determined to stop things before they spiral, just because of one stupid memory. Then he rushes to the rooftop, hoping to prevent a fight before it starts. The moment he pushes the door open, he freezes in shock. Right in front of him, she and Tomomi stand face to face, staring each other down. He wonders if staring contests should be an Olympic sport. Seeing them, he quickly calls out for them to stop whatever they're doing. Tomomi turns to him with a sharp look, then greets him casually with a, "Hey, you're late," as if the tension in the air isn't about to explode. He thinks maybe casual greetings should come with hazard warnings. He stands there, stunned, eyes fixed on her, who looks furious. She glares straight at him and demands to know if he was the one who told them everything. Hesitating for a moment, he quietly admits, "Maybe. Yes." Her anger flares instantly, her eyes burning with disbelief. Before the tension escalates further, Tomomi claps her hands lightly and says with a sharp smile that since everyone is already here, they might as well sit down and talk it out. She points at him with a teasing smirk, her eyes glinting with mischief. He stands there, tense and confused, unsure what the girls want from him this time. Cornered by all three, the situation makes no sense, and he has no idea what to do next. He briefly wishes life came with a tutorial before throwing him into chaos. Tomomi spreads out the picnic mat, neatly arranging the lunch boxes as he watches in disbelief. His fiancée sits surrounded by his childhood friends, but instead of a cheerful reunion, it feels like a storm slowly building, tension hanging thick between sandwiches and side dishes. What should have been a normal lunch now feels like a battlefield. Under her breath, he mutters that Kiryu's intense. Everyone scattered the moment she arrived, like pigeons startled by a loud noise. Arms crossed, she snaps back that she wasn't about to eat anyone. There was no reason to run. Then, more seriously, she says her anger isn't random. It's because of him. Why did he tell them about their engagement? He freezes, struggling for words, but before the silence deepens, Tomomi smoothly steps in to steer the conversation forward. She gestures for Kiryu to sit beside her, saying she wants to hear her side of the story too. She gives her a small, teasing smile, and he, watching them, can't figure out what Tomomi is really planning. Still, she agrees and quietly sits down next to her. She thanks her, and the tense atmosphere softens just a little. Then he brings up Akane, telling them that everyone used to love his cooking when they were kids. He apologizes, admitting he never imagined things would go this far, and adds that none of it is her fault either. He thinks maybe childhood praise should come with a lifetime warranty. Before he can speak, Tomomi and Ryoko jump in, apologizing and insisting the fault is theirs. He blinks, confused, until they explain. Akane had already scolded them the night before for overreacting. They admit it's truly their fault for expecting that kind of emotional awareness from their big bro. He clenches his jaw. Irritation flashes in his eyes. He feels his patience slipping, because hearing that kind of excuse doesn't help him at all. Seeing them all flustered, Kiryu smiles, her eyes softening in a way no one expects, a faint calm spreading across her face. He thinks maybe unexpected smiles should come with instruction manuals. With that, Tomomi declares that enough talking has been done and they should start eating. He feels like he probably caused the most embarrassment, but she reassures him that's not true. They all sit together, sharing small smiles as the tension finally begins to fade. And then he thinks to himself that if anyone deserves the most thanks and credit for making peace between his fiancée and his childhood friends, it's his sister, Akane. He briefly hopes credit giving comes with a leaderboard. They all start their lunch, and in the middle of it, Tomomi picks up a piece and tells Kiryu to open her mouth. As she tastes it, she finds it incredibly delicious. Tomomi beams and tells her that she made it all herself. Hearing this, she thanks her, and when Tomomi gives a small grin, Kiryu asks what's wrong. Tomomi explains that she's really surprised, never expecting to hear thanks from Kiryu-san. Suddenly, she goes quiet. Hiroyuki tries to hush her, but she says it's fine, adding that feeling this way comes naturally. She mentions that ever since she joined the school, she can count on her fingers how many times she's been thanked, and she's never done anything to deserve it. So, when they invited her, she spoke like that. Meanwhile, he reassures both girls that she isn't a bad person. Some gratitude clearly needs a lifetime supply of sugar to match the moment. She then tells the two that she is Higashi-kun's fiancé, and perhaps that's why they became her enemies. The girls exchange glances, and Kiryu states it might not have felt right, so she apologizes. Ryoko replies that the entire fault lies with Hiroyuki's dad. In the meantime, Tomomi puts another piece into her mouth, stopping her from apologizing. After tasting it, she smiles. Tomomi adds that she shouldn't make such a gloomy face because to her, the friend or enemy thing doesn't matter at all. Although they're technically opponents during matches, she doesn't see anyone as an enemy. They all love basketball and work hard for it. That shared passion connects them. Hiroyuki pretends to understand, even if he doesn't fully grasp it. Then Tomomi reminds them they should get along. Ryoko blushes, her cheeks turning pink. Tomomi adds that if friendship were divided by love for basketball, then only fans of the sport would be friends, and the rest enemies. But she doesn't see it that way. She doesn't see Kiryu-san as an enemy. The two get caught up in their conversation while Hiroyuki looks at Ryoko, silently asking what they are talking about. After eating, Tomomi says that calling her a villainess isn't right. She explains that she doesn't like the nickname because it spreads rumors wherever she goes. Then Tomomi suggests that maybe she should change her behavior a little. She thinks it over, feeling they might have a good point, but something inside her resists changing that way. Kiryu wonders why she should compromise on something she has worked hard for, just to meet other people's expectations. That thought prevents her from changing, and a silence falls over the group, a quiet that could probably qualify as a meditation session. After that, Tomomi and Ryoko start glaring at Hiroyuki, who realizes their point. He understands that everyone is looking at her because there might be aspects that need adjusting. This applies to both him and her. Judgment stares arrive with more intensity than a pop quiz. As they sit there, another voice calls from behind, a girl excitedly inviting senpai to have lunch with her. As the girl moves forward to greet them, everyone watches in surprise. She explains that she forgot her lunchbox at home, and now she's happy Hiroyuki senpai's here, because she confirmed in class that he would be. She tells them the whole story, and it turns out Ryoko senpai must have brought something from home. And sure enough, that proves to be true. She sits down timidly beside them like a guest unsure of herself, and asks politely if it's okay for her to join their lunch. Everyone points out that she should have brought her own lunch. It's her own mistake, after all. She smiles playfully and counters that they are all sharing food anyway, so taking a little from them won't hurt. At that, Kiryu hands her a piece and she accepts it happily, starting to eat. As soon as the girl notices who's feeding her, she turns bright red and lets out a small scream. Once she calms down, Kiryu asks who she is. Hiroyuki believes he should have introduced her. The girl finally introduces herself. Kawakita Mizuho, a first year from Class 1. Introductions feel like trying to untangle a messy headphone cord, awkward but necessary. Tomomi comments teasingly that she's quite shameless, but Ryoko shrugs, saying there's no problem when it comes to food. Kiru thanks her for the introduction, shares her own name, and adds that she's from Class 2, saying it's nice to meet her. Mizuho, realizing she's speaking to someone as intimidating as Kiru, screams again, thinking she might have made a mistake. He quickly tells Kiru not to scare her so much, careful not to let the atmosphere turn tense. Even polite introductions can come with heart rate spikes. At that moment, the girl suddenly starts asking him what he's doing with the Villainess. Panicked, he quickly covers her mouth with his hand, whispering for her not to use that word. He watches Kiru closely, but the girl shakes her head in fear, promising that she won't say it again. Some secrets clearly need an emergency mute button. After that, everyone starts smiling and laughing together, and Mizuho looks around surprised by the cheerful atmosphere. He explains that Mizuho is his little sister's classmate, and the conversation naturally turns toward her. Meanwhile, Kiru quietly observes, thinking about whether she's officially being introduced. Tomomi leans toward Ryoko, saying there's no need to overthink it. He tells Mizuho to finish the rest of her lunch quickly. Meal timing suddenly feels like a race against the clock. Once Mizuho finishes eating, she declares that after eating so much, they definitely need to practice. Everyone begins chatting about her, saying her only responsibilities seem to be either eating or practicing. Mizuho adds that if she doesn't practice, she feels like she'll gain weight. Then she says that everyone will have to practice one by one. The rest are surprised while Kiru looks at him and asks if he plays basketball. Suddenly, lunch turns into a sports strategy meeting. A brief silence falls over the group. He hesitates, trying to figure out the sudden shift to basketball in practice. Kiru asks Mizuho if she can bring Tomomi along. Mizuho explains that practicing with him will be more beneficial for her. Practicing together now sounds like a full-time job. Kiru, surprised, asks if he was ever in a basketball club. He hesitates for a moment, then stands up saying he was in the Go Straight Home Club because there were no positions available in the actual basketball club. Tomomi jokes that if he's trying to be funny, he gets 0 points. Apparently, even jokes have a scoring system here. Meanwhile, Kiru calls from behind, asking why he quit basketball. He goes silent. She insists that she saw him throw the ball an incredible distance in PE class, something only someone with experience could do. He starts thinking but doesn't answer. Instead, he tries to leave. Kiru calls out from behind, stopping him. He keeps his eyes down and mutters that it didn't feel fun anymore, silently walking away while she watches. Walking away quietly suddenly seems like the most dramatic move in the room. He heads home. The others apologize to Kiru, but she brushes it off, saying it's fine since she initiated the conversation. Meanwhile, Mizuho reassures them that it's not a problem because he is truly a kind person. Kiru, curious, asks how she knows so much about him. Mizuho admits she's a hardcore fan and that she'll talk to him after school. Apparently, fan clubs now extend to casual lunch spots. Kiru mentions that he has plans with her after school. She teases that it might be a date, making all the girls blush. Without a word, she quietly walks away. The others watch her leave, while Mizuho glances around, puzzled. Mizuho looks around confused, wondering aloud what's date supposed to mean. Anxiously, Tomomi turns to Ryoko and asks if Kiryu-san might actually be an enemy, hoping she's wrong. Lunch conversations now include mystery plot twists for everyone involved.
Here I am, know it's been a while. I was in denial about my love. Here I stand,